And good afternoon, everyone. This is Patrick, and welcome back to Underdog Dueling, where we take a look at hidden gems and archetypes that people might be sleeping on, and compare their relevance to today's meta. So today I have with you guys a deck profile that a lot of people have been clamoring for since I started uploading Master Duel, and that is my Nephthys Fire King deck profile. This one in particular is kind of my current build for real life. Now, I do plan on showing off the Master Duel variant in another video, if you guys want to see that. One thing I like about this deck is that Nephthys and Fire King work very well together, because before the Nephthys got their archetype, Fire Kings were kind of made as a way to be a companion to Sacred Phoenix, because they revolve around the gimmick of destroying your own cards to trigger their effects. And then when they finally released the Nephthys archetype as a ritual archetype, something I was very happy about because I love rituals, I decided to try them out. And they've been a lot of fun. They got me through a lot of duels in Master Duel, especially the first couple of seasons. Well, without any further ado, let's dive in. If you want to see more, please remember to like and subscribe, and follow me on Twitter at Soren's Lair. Starting off, we're going to go ahead and run 3 copies of Cerulean Sacred Phoenix of Nephthys, the Nephthys boss monster for the deck. So you can ritual summon this card using Rebirth of Nephthys. And then, once per turn, you can either, during the main phase, destroy Nephthys cards in your hand and or face up on the field, and destroy an equal amount of monsters your opponent controls, just for some good non-targeting removal. Thankfully, though the destruction effect still isn't really the best. And during your next standby phase, after this card was destroyed by battle or card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon it, which is always nice because you've got a pretty good 3k body out on board. Next up, 3 of the original Sacred Phoenix of Nephthys. So this card is interesting. I think I remember reading that in GOAT format, this card was either limited or outright banned because I guess it was pretty easy to destroy. I don't know. Let me know, because I've never actually played GOAT format. But otherwise, yes, when this card is destroyed by a card effect during the next standby phase, it is special. Your next standby phase, it is special summoned and allows you to nuke all spell and traps on the field. Then 3, Conductor of Nephthus. This is the newest Nephthys card that came out in Phantom Rage, and it pretty much helps get a lot of your plays online. So if this card is ritual summoned, you can special summon a Nephthys ritual monster from your hand or deck, except another copy of itself, and this is counted as a ritual summon. Keep that in mind. And then, if this card is destroyed by a Nephthys card effect or is tributed, you can, during the next standby phase, destroy up to 3 Nephthys cards except ritual monsters, 1 from my hand, deck, and field. This could allow you to get a Sacred Phoenix into the graveyard on your opponent's turn, or one of your Fire King monsters that I'll be showing you, so that way you can trigger their effects on the following turn. In the case of that, it is a 2000 beater, so it can at least kind of hold its own. Next, we run 2 copies of Devotee of Nephthys. So, when this card is ritual summoned, you can special summon 1 Nephthys monster from your deck, but also this card is destroyed during the end of the turn. But if it is in the graveyard, you can destroy 1 Nephthys card in your hand and special summon it, potentially triggering more effects. Now, a lot of times you're gonna probably be linking this one out so you get the free summon, but also you avoid its destruction effect, which you're probably not going to use as often, but it could just be a good extra body, or be able to be combined with Conductor to be able to go into a rank 2. Next up, for the monsters, we run 3 copies of Defender of Nephthys. So it is a 1400 attack monster, and during the main phase, you can destroy 1 card in your hand, and if you do, special summon a level 4 or lower Nephthys monster from your hand, except another copy of Defender. And during the next standby phase, after this card is destroyed by a card effect, you can destroy 1 Nephthys monster in your deck, except Defender. So at the start of your turn, if this card gets destroyed, sent to the grave, then on your turn, you get a free Nephthys monster. Huzzah! And it's anyone, so you can you can destroy a monster and proc their effects. It's actually a really good card. It's a really fun card to use. Plus, being able to summon from the hand will also help jumpstart some of your plays. I find it funny how it says level 4 or lower Nephthys, but there's only level 2s and level 8s. So maybe we'll see more, I don't know. Next up, 2 copies of Disciple of Nephthys. So this one's nice because it's a 2000 defense body, and during your main phase you can destroy 1 card in your hand, and if you do, add a Nephthys monster from your deck to your hand, except another copy of itself. Then during your next standby phase, after this was destroyed, you can add a Nephthys spell or trap from your deck to your hand. This could be a good way to go ahead and get your ritual spell online very quickly so you can continue your plays. Next up, for the Fire King portion, I run 3 copies of Fire King High Avatar Garunix. So Garunix is another 8-star Firewing beast and is kind of the counterpart to Sacred Nephthys. This one is during the next standby phase, either yours or your opponent's. If this card was destroyed by card effect, you special summon it and you destroy all other monsters on the field. When this card is destroyed by battle, you can special summon any Fire King monster from your deck, except another copy of itself. So a fun little trick is to try and get both of these in the graveyard at the same time, whether that's on your opponent's turn or on your turn, so you can trigger their effects. Now, since their effects resolve at the same time, a good play for this is summoning Garunix first to destroy all monsters on the field, and then bring out Sacred Phoenix to destroy all spells and traps, which also gives you 2 level 8 monsters on board for a rank 8. Now, keep in mind that trick only works on your turn, so do be careful. But if this card is constantly getting destroyed and coming back, you could potentially keep nuking your opponent's board, and always have a body on field. Next up, our only other Fire King, at least for this in real life build, is Fire King Avatar Arvada. So Arvada has the ability to where when a monster effect is activated while this card's on the field, I can negate the activation and destroy one other fire monster in my hand. And this card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, I can target a Fire Beast, Beast Warrior, or Wing Beast in my graveyard, special summon it, its effects are negated, and it's destroyed at the end of the turn. So this could actually be really good for, again, getting more bodies on board, and when they're destroyed, just trigger their effects. Plus, if you summon this and then go about your plays, you can stop Ash Blossom from happening, which is always a nice thing. Then for some spicy little tech cards, I run 2 copies of True King Agnimazad. So Agnimazad allows it to where you can destroy 2 monsters in your hand to summon it, and if both were fire, you get to banish 1 monster on the field or in your opponent's graveyard. Now, this is nice because it is non-targeted removal, which is very much a benefit. And if this card is destroyed, you can add a non-fire worm monster from your graveyard to your hand. We only run 1 other worm monster, which you will see momentarily. But before we get to them, I also run 2 copies of Lava Golem, mostly because it's a fire monster, but it allows you to give up your normal summon to tribute 2 of your opponent's monsters and special summon it to their side of the field, and they will take 1,000 points of damage during every one of their standby phases. Now, this is a good card to just get rid of some problem monsters and then potentially destroy it or swing over it, or, you know, use True King to even banish it from the field. Next up, I'll go ahead and save those for last. The other war monster I do run is Mariamne, the True Draco Phoenix. So Mariamne has the ability to where if you destroy 2 wind monsters in your hand, let's go ahead and shuffle that down a little, then you can banish the top 4 cards of your opponent's deck. And when it's destroyed by card effect, you can add a non-wind war monster from your deck to your hand to grab your copy of Agnimazad to potentially combo off. Then lastly, we go ahead and have 1 each of Incantation, Candle, and Talismandra. So basically, you can reveal the appropriate ritual spell or monster from hand to special summon one of these from your hand, and then summon the other one from the deck, which allows you to search either a ritual monster or a ritual spell. So now, you do want to get these off the field if you're planning on linking or exceeding, because otherwise, as long as these remain up on the field, you cannot summon monsters from the extra deck. Now, in other builds, I do run... In one build, I ran more of an Incantation build and less of a Fire King build, just to kind of help facilitate a lot of the plays. And then when I show you the Master Duel variant, I tend to lean more into like a Nephthys Fire King combo, which actually plays very well, where I don't need to use as many searchers. And I figure for this, one of is good, especially if I'm just having some difficulties. So that is all for the monsters. Now we're going into the spells. I run 1 Preparation of Rites to add a level 7 or lower ritual monster from my deck to my hand. Then, if I have one in the grave, add a ritual spell. 1 Called by the Grave to stop, hand traps. 2 copies of Dark Ruler No More to negate all card effects, though opponent takes no further damage. And it can't be responded to by monsters. So, then 2 copies of Onslaught of the Fire Kings. Onslaught makes it to where if your opponent controls a monster and you control nothing, you can special summon a Fire Beast, Beast Warrior, or Winged Beast from your deck. Its effects are negated and is destroyed during the end of the turn. So this would get some of your, again, another play online to get one of your big monsters or even one of the Fire Kings right on board, and when it's destroyed, you can benefit from their effect. Next, 3 copies of Rebirth and Nephthys. This is your main ritual. And what's neat about this one is if you use Devotee of Nephthys or Cerulean Sacred Phoenix, you can destroy 1 card on the field. Always a good thing to keep in mind. And of course, 3 copies of Pre-Prep of Rites. which allows you to add a ritual spell and a monster from your deck to your hand that lists, whose name is listed in the ritual spell. Now, Rebirth of Nephthys only allows Devotee and Cerulean Sacred Phoenix, not Conductor, since Conductor didn't come out until a little later. So do keep that in mind, but if you can get at least one of your cards, you'll still be able to get your plays off. Then for just a couple of traps, just for fun, I have 2 Solemn Strikes and 1 Solemn Judgment, just to kind of round things out. And that is it for the main deck. Now for the extra deck, these are in no particular order. I run 1 copy of number 97 Draglubion. Draglubion makes it to where it cannot be targeted with card effects, and I can detach 1 material to take 2 dragon number monsters with different names from my extra deck and or graveyard, except another copy of itself, special summon 1 and attach the other as material. Now I can't special summon other monsters when I do this or declare an attack except with that monster. I do want to use Numeron Dragon with this, but I currently do not have a copy, and I plan on getting one hopefully soon. But one of the other level 8s, rank 8s that I will use with Draglubion is Hope Harbinger Titanic Galaxy. Once per turn, when a spell or effect is activated, I can negate the effect and attach that card as material. Then when a monster declares an attack, I can detach a material and change the target to this one. And if another face-up Xyz monster is destroyed by card effect, I can target another one. I can target any Xyz monster I control, and it gains attack to one of those destroyed monsters. Then, another rank 8, Heretic Sky Dragon Overlord of Heliopolis. Once per turn, when your opponent activates a card or effect that targets a card on the field or in the graveyard and or banished, I can detach 1 material to negate and destroy, and it's a nice little 3k body. Then, number 40, Gimmick Puppet of Strings. Once per turn, detach 1 material to place a string counter on each face-up monster on the field, and once per turn during the end phase of the opponent of the player who plays a string counter, so at the end phase of your turn, next end phase, destroy the monsters with string counters and inflict 500 for each monster destroyed. Next, 1, number 15, Gimmick Puppet Grinder. Up to twice per turn during the main phase, you can detach 1 material from this card, then target 1 monster that was special summoned, and if it was an Xyz monster, it is destroyed and your opponent takes damage equal to its attack. Then 1 AA Zeus. We all know Zeus. After you immediately battle with an Xyz monster in main phase 2, rank up into it, and then just spend 2 materials to nuke the board. Then I got 1 copy of Sky Cavalry Centaurea, one of our only level 2, rank 2 plays. It cannot be destroyed by battle while it has material, and at the end of the damage step, if it battled an opponent's monster, I can detach 1 to return that opponent's monster to the hand. Next up, Phantom Knights of Curse Javelin. I can detach 1 material from this card, target 1 face-up monster my opponent controls, and change its attack to 0 and negate its effects. It is a quick effect if there is a Phantom Knight card, but I don't attach to it, but I do not run any. Next is Crusader Equimax. It is a link 3 that gains attack equal to the combined number of original attack of all monsters this card points to, and monsters this card points to cannot attack, and has a second effect that involves Crusader or World Legacy, but I don't have any other of those. It's mostly just to really get kind of a fun little link play. Then next up, Crusader Mech Knight Avramax. So, while this card is link summoned on the field, opponent cannot target this card with card effects, and he is the only one that can be targeted for attacks. Once per battle during damage calculation, if this special summons a monster, this will gain attack equal to that opponent's monster during damage calculation only. And if this card is sent to the graveyard by an opponent's card, you can shuffle 1 card on the field into the deck. This gets kinda cheeky. And finally, our Nephthys cards. First up is 2 copies of Nephthys the Sacred Preserver. I thought about potentially running 3, but for the moment 2 kind of gets the job done. Now, when this card is link summoned, you can add 1 level 8 Wing Beast monster from your deck to your hand and 1 ritual spell. Or you can destroy 1 monster this card, Nephthys monster this card points to, and special summon a Nephthys monster with a different original name from your graveyard but negate its effects. Now, and then finally, the main boss, the actual boss monster of the extra deck, Nephthys the Sacred Flame. So it requires 2 monsters including a ritual monster, and when this card is in the extra monster zone, monsters my opponent controls cannot target Nephthys monsters that these cards in the main monster zones, oh no, not points to, just Nephthys monsters in the main monster zones for attacks. That is actually really nice. I thought they had to be pointing, but no, that is not the case. And then for every ritual monster that is used to make it, it gains effects. So, with 1, it cannot be destroyed by battle, 2 or more cannot be destroyed by card effects and gains 1200 attack, and then for 3, neither player can target this card with card effects and it gains another 1200. So, once you go up into it, it will have a 4800 attack if you use 3 ritual monsters, and it cannot be destroyed by battle, by card effects and can't be targeted by card effects, which gives you and your monsters a lot of protection, which is good because ritual monsters can be kind of difficult to get on the board. And of course, wrapping it all up, you guys see my wonderful Nephthys playmat. Let's go ahead and zoom out a little so you guys can see. And yeah, this is a fun little playmat. I was glad I invested into it, and I figured it'd be fitting for one of my favorite decks of all time. Otherwise, I hope you enjoy this, and if you want to see some test hands, let me know in the comments. And yeah, hope you look forward to more deck profiles. And actually, a little later today, I'm going to be opening up this box of Dimension Force, so please look forward to it. Otherwise, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all next time. Signing out.